What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel. I am Cole, and this is Blake. We are coming at you for our first, I guess we can officially say maybe our first official Canadian Football Fanatics weekly show of the year. Folks, we are in May. Football is around the corner. We have CFL season. Although it may be preseason, we have it this month. Super excited. I think just with the draft kind of getting wrapped up now, players reporting their training camp here in a few weeks. The excitement is starting to build more and more. Blake and I are starting to plan our trip and hopefully cement some more details of going up there. So the
Yeah,
excitement is the
at this
excitement is
point, we
building,
might
folks.
be staying in my car. So,
Which we might have to do things to to have a good time. So as I introduce my co-host, as always, Blake joined me. Blake, thanks for joining me, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good. Just got home from work. It was a bit of a long day at work, but it's always fun to talk some CFL football. Like you said, it's May now, so up until the end of November, there we can't say we don't have any CFL football because we're gonna have some CFL from this month on all the way till November the 17th.
I can't believe how fast the time has flown by. It feels like it was just Christmas. It feels like it was just November and the Grey Cup was being played. And we are already in May. And I would imagine May will fly by. We'll be June and we will be, the season kickoff, the Lions home opener. Still so excited to hear who's going to be kicking off things at BC Place on June 15th, if I'm not mistaken. But Blake, before we get going, buddy, obviously tonight be a CFL draft recap. Um, we also had the NFL draft this past weekend as well. So I might mix in a little bit of Canadians that got drafted that this past weekend as well. But before we get going, as always, got to remind everybody that's tuning in here tonight that they can contribute, they can interact with both Blake and I in the chat. So feel free to let your opinion be known. We really enjoy kind of going back and forth with everybody. So feel free and don't be shy. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you guys enjoyed our content here tonight. You enjoyed these live videos. Blake and I, you guys will be getting used to Blake and I's face a lot more. Planning on doing our CFL previews like we did last year on the 7th and 14th of this month. That's May. So stay tuned for that. And then pretty much after that, we will have regular football, whether it's preseason or training camp to talk about. And Blake and I can get into the groove of things, into the weekly show. You'll see us every week throughout the CFL season. And it's going to be a grind, but I can't wait to go through it, buddy. Obviously, last year we didn't get to go through the entire season, but this will be our first season together for the full season together. So head over to the Instagram page as well. Follow that. The reception over there has been great. Um, as well, I believe people are watching on Twitter tonight, Blake, so they can follow both Blake and I over there on Twitter. All the support is greatly appreciated, and you guys can go back and forth with us on Twitter if you guys had something that I believe somebody that should be tuning in, Jay, one of our regular listeners
Yeah.
last year, likes to kind of use Twitter as kind of a way to go back and forth with us on some of his points that he liked throughout the show, stuff like that. So feel free to follow Blake and I. If let me see if I can get Blake's. Mine's obviously down there at Cole McGarvey, super easy. But if I'm not mistaken, you can follow Blake at Blake3653
Yes, you finally got it.
at Blake3653 on Twitter. Feel free to message both of us, mention both of us in any tweets if you guys liked anything at the show tonight, liked any of our opinions, anything like that. Feel free to get on us there as well. Before, hopefully in the near future, we're able to make maybe a Twitter page here, kind of like in just the one social media as of now with just the Instagram. But stay tuned, and if you guys would like to see us maybe make a Twitter page, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. So, Blake, before we get into it, should we kind of go through our little surprise before we get into our draft talk here?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, as I guess not a lot of people know, but I was in Vancouver over the past few weeks here dealing with some family matters. Was able to stop by. Obviously, people that are in the BC area are familiar with Pastime Sports, a big sports memorabilia shop, kind of chain in the Lower Mainland area. I believe there's four locations: Tsawwassen Mills, Metrotown, Langley, Guildford is the other
Yeah,
one.
Guilford.
Guildford Mall. Eight locations. Obviously had to go take a little stroll through while I was there. I was able to go to actually two locations, the Metrotown and Langley one. Was able to do a little bit of shopping. Hopefully, something will be up on the wall here soon. And then as well, Blake and I got a little bit of. Actually, I guess I got a surprise for Blake. And coincidentally enough, Blake actually had the same thing sitting at home waiting to be unopened as well. But we are gonna go with a CFL card pack opening tonight, folks. Nothing crazy. It's actually not even a current box of cards. It's actually from 2014, as you can see. Ricky Ray, the gunslinger himself, on the box. 2014 CFL Upper Deck football cards. So I thought it'd be fun for Blake and I, and hopefully you guys will follow along. And if you guys like some of this content, I saw actually CFL safety Hamilton Tiger Cats safety Stavros Kasatonis do some pack openings over on his channel. And the reception was really good. I believe he's actually sponsored by Upper Deck. They are actually sending him packs and stuff to open on a regular basis, which I think is really cool. And there was, I believe, the 2021 Upper Deck cards available. I don't know if you actually were able to see, Blake, if they had the current 2022 or 2023 Upper
Yeah,
Deck CFL cards.
yeah, I have. Yeah, I have the 2023 sitting here. That's also unopened, but
You're hilarious. So, here is the packs right here, guys. We do have, obviously, as promised, our man Jay's in the chat tonight, Blake. Jay, appreciate you as always for tuning in. If anybody else is kind of interested in seeing more stuff like this, opening packs of cards, stuff like that, maybe Blake and I can get in touch with maybe something like a Pastime Sports. Hopefully, maybe get in communications about a potential sponsor, something like that. Maybe we could do some sort of giveaway here on the channel. So if you guys would like to see that, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat as well. Maybe tag us on Twitter and tag Pastime on Twitter. Actually, I believe they have a Instagram page, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully, Blake. That's the other thing I was worried about is how hard these cards are going to be open, or how hard these cards were going to be to open, because I wasn't going to want to struggle on the air. But of course, oh, here we go. Got to open them backwards. All right, Blake. First pack of cards here on the channel are uh, Canadian Football Fanatics card breaking. We have linebacker TJ Hill, running back Jock Sanders.
ooh,
Oh, I know this name, a classic CFLer. Fred Stamps, longtime CFL receiver. Aaron Riley, not too sure. Saskatchewan Roughriders receiver.
okay.
Ooh, I like it. Little BC Lions flavor, not in the colors. Quarterback
Mike,
Mike Riley. In the Edmonton Eskimos, Edmonton Elks. Possibly was that a Grey Cup year by chance? Maybe this is a nice card to have.
2013 was no,
And
that was
then
Riders.
Marquay McDaniels, Calgary Stampeders
Another long time
receiver.
CFLer.
Yep. All right, Blake. We're one pack down. We're gonna try to do this in a timely fashion, folks. We always try to do this in under an hour, and usually never happens. But this time we're really trying. Another name I'm familiar with, Alex Suber, defensive back for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This pack feels a little bit different, Blake. I'm not too sure if there's a special card in here or not, but we're gonna find out. Taj Smith, another receiver for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Another longtime CFLer and a little BC Lions flavor. BC Lions fullback, Rolly Lumbala.
Oh, Rolly. I'm jealous.
Nate Cohorn, Edmonton Elks wide receiver. I'm guessing why this may be the different one. It's an OPC actually card. It's a wide receiver from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Harry Coach, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And then last one. This is actually a star rookies. Maybe this is the one. Jeremiah Johnson, running back, Toronto Argonauts.
I believe he played for the Lions for just a little bit.
Okay, we are 2 packs down, Blake. Let's see how fast we can get through this without the people leaving. We have 9 viewers in here tonight. If you guys are enjoying this, a like, comment, subscribe. When you guys subscribe, please hit the notification bell. You guys will get notified every time Blake and I go live. We post content on the channel, episodes, YouTube shorts, all that good stuff. We have defensive tackle, Bryant Turner, Winnipeg Blue Bomber. We have another longtime CFLer, Darius Bowman, wide receiver.
I believe he might be in the CFL Hall of Fame, actually.
We have British Columbia native, game ready elite, I believe founder and contributor slash coach. We have, unfortunately not in the colors, wide receiver Paris Jackson,
Oh,
Ottawa Red Blacks, longtime BC Lion, obviously Grey Cup champion with the Lions, a just a great CFLer and a I was a big fan of Paris Jackson in the 1-9 back in the day of the Lions, and that orange was really sweet. And we have Stephen Lumbala, running back, Montreal Alouettes. We have Josh Bork, offensive tackle. We have Matt Carter, wide receiver. All right, Blake. That's three packs down, buddy. What's your favorite card so far?
probably the Raleigh one.
The Rolly one? I would agree. I'm gonna say Paris Jackson's mine. I'll go with a different one just to play devil's advocate. Um, let's go with this, folks. There's a card anyone's in here tonight that they like. That is besides the Rolly Lumbala and Paris Jackson one. Comment in the chat. Tag me and Blake on Twitter. Send us a screenshot that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. You are following the Instagram, and we will give away, let's say, 3 cards, and I will send them out to somebody that whoever wants them. So, like I said, message us on Twitter, mention us in a tweet, Instagram, whatever you have to do to get a hold of us. Comment down below, comment in the chat which card you like, and send us a screenshot. You are subscribed to the channel, you are following the Instagram. Easy steps, free. We will send you some CFL cards if you would like. We have Brian Bullock, defensive lineman, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Nice. We have a first Lion of the poll. We have a receiver. Any guesses, Blake?
Receiver, this was 2013,
2015 or yeah, 2014, Blake. 2014.
2014. Giroy was already gone at this point. I honestly don't have any clue.
We have Sean Gore,
Oh,
wide receiver for the BC Lions. We have another longtime CFLer, Greg Ellingson, wide receiver, Hamilton Tiger Cats.
he was in the league just last year, I believe. Was he not? Still with
Uh,
Ottawa?
I believe so. I have a running back for the Montreal Alouettes that I was a fan of this guy actually growing up, and I feel like he always torched our Lions, but it is Brandon Whitaker, running back,
Yeah,
Montreal Alouettes.
that's a good pull. Whitaker was a good back.
We have wide receiver, another CFL that I recognize, Akeem Foster, wide receiver, Edmonton Elks. I got a smile on my face. We have a quarterback. I like this one. Another guy that I liked, although he was in the green and white, very bitter rivals with our Lions. But we have
Darian Durant.
Darian Durant, quarterback, Saskatchewan Roughriders. A guy that obviously played in a market that got a lot of heat, but from outside narrative and even a lot of heat from around the league as well. Personally, I was a big fan of Darian Durant. I liked the way he played. I thought he was a nice gunslinger and did some good things for the CFL. So, what do you?
Player that currently playing that reminds me a lot of Darian Durant was it's VA actually. As
Oh, really?
Darian,
Hey,
yeah, Darian had that kind of moniker that he couldn't win the big game up until they won the Grey Cup at home. So who knows? Maybe VA, if you're watching, I know I tweeted you earlier today, so hopefully you're watching. But maybe VA can channel that and win the Grey Cup at home this year.
Let's cross our fingers. Let's cross our fingers. I did see you mention VA in a tweet. So if by chance VA is watching, salute to you. Go Lions. Yes, sir. Can't wait to see you guys here soon in the near future. We have our first kind of neat card here, and two CFLers that are longtime CFLers, stalwarts in their organizations, and big time playmakers. We have a dual defense checklist with linebacker Montreal Alouettes and defensive line Calgary Stampeders. We have Chip Cox and Charleston Hughes
Ooh,
back-to-back card.
nice.
Don't mind that one, Blake. We have a kicker, longtime CFLer, still kicking,
Rene Paredes.
Rene Paredes. We have another longtime CFLer, still playing. Actually, really cool card. Might be up there for my new favorite card. We have offensive lineman Stanley Bryant in the Calgary Stampeders
Oh
uniform.
wow, that's a rare card.
That is very cool. Might be possibly my new favorite. Either one or two. As a Lions fan, let's slide that down to number two. Paris Jackson still number one. Stanley Bryant, Calgary Stampeders. Really like that one. Mike Bradwell, wide receiver, Toronto Argonauts. We have Bakari Grant, wide receiver. And another smile on my face because it's a quarterback, but I have a big smile on my face because we have Smiling Hank, Henry Burris, Ottawa Red Blacks. Like that one. All right, Blake. 3 down, folks. 3 down, and we will get into some football talk, some CFL draft talk, some NFL draft talk, and we will get out of here, and we will see you guys very shortly. Okay. We have defensive lineman Jason Vega, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Blake, I'm just going to be honest. I seen a pretty cool card in this one. I don't know who the name is, but I saw that it's for our BC Lions, and I saw that
Okay.
it is I saw it's a rookie card. So let's cross our fingers here, Blake. We got something maybe 2014. Let's think about 2014 rookies, okay, Blake? We have very cool. This is going to be either number 2 or 3 on mine personally because obviously the ties to the Buffalo Bills here behind me. We have Buffalo Bills legendary, longtime Buffalo Bills son. We have Luke Tasker for the Hamilton
Oh,
Tiger Cats. Very cool
that,
card. Love that.
that
Love
was
that.
Bill Tasker, was it not?
Steve Tasker was
Steve.
was his dad and played for the Buffalo Bills. Great guy. Still listen to him. He's on the Bills radio, the One Bills Live there. Their show that they do. Just a great guy. We have running back John Delahunt. We have Jabari Arthur, wide receiver. We have Tino
Sinceri?
Sinceri.
Sinceri, yeah.
Sinceri.
I remember the
Okay.
name.
Last card of the pack. Not as cool, Blake, but it is a BC Lion. It is a rookie card. Travis,
Lula.
not Lule. We
Oh,
have Travis Partridge.
oh, so
But
close.
as you can see, folks, if I can get it to focus, it does say star rookies right there. Unfortunately, I'm not too sure if this guy ever made the main roster, to be honest.
I don't think he did.
That would have been Jonathan Jennings era. So Jonathan Jennings would have been the starting quarterback. Travis Lule, I believe, would have been on the team as a backup. And who else would have been in the system? Maybe even
Like,
Cody Fajardo could have even been in the system. No,
yeah, I guess because yeah, Riley was still with Edmonton at that time, so he had already left.
Gerald Brown, defensive back.
Cliffy, if you're
Siobhan,
watching here,
Siobhan Walker, running back.
Cliffy, if you're watching us, you have a lot of Alouettes here so far.
Clarence Dunmark, wide receiver. Okay, here we go. I like this one. Longtime CFLer. I believe made the historic feat of wearing every CFL jersey, if I'm not mistaken. BC Lions
And
quarterback, Kevin Glenn.
you are correct. I believe Glenn is the only player to ever wear the jersey of every single team.
Okay, and this guy was a dog back in the day, somebody that I really respect, especially, a lot of years going to the Grey Cup and coming up a little bit short. Not too sure if this guy was that far. He might have been kind of more the 2010s post, but remember this guy doing a lot of big things. That is wide receiver, S.J. Green.
Have you ever? I'm guessing you've seen that clip of the one-handed catch in the season opener in
Yeah,
2010.
yeah. Maurice Price, wide receiver. All right, Blake, everybody, we have made it. The final pack. We have, let's see, we have a stack of CFL cards with one pack remaining. Like I said, folks, give away 3 cards. If anybody likes them, let us know on Twitter in the comments, wherever you want to get a hold of Blake and I. Send us a screenshot. Both it can go to Blake or I personally in the DMs. Doesn't have to be to both of us. Subscribe to the channel and following the Instagram at Canadian Football Fanatics on both. We have linebacker Calgary Stampeders Jawan Simpson. Here we go. We have BC Lions quarterback number 14,
Travis,
Travis Lule. There we go. The third Sadim brother around Vancouver, I believe, is the the nickname. No, I'm just kidding. But Grey Cup MVP, did a lot of good things. Considering went to the NFL, kind of got told his career would maybe be over after I believe a significant shoulder injury. Came up here, had to grind on a practice roster. Kind of fall into kind of a fate of some guys not playing well, some guys kind of getting injured throughout his early years, and then getting a starting opportunity there. I believe to finish the 2010 season, if I'm not mistaken. Went to the playoffs in Saskatchewan. Came so close to knocking them off.
yeah,
Unfortunately, didn't knock them off. Fueled the fire going into the next season. Of course, we start 0-5. The fuel of the fire really didn't work too well to start the year, but obviously the historic turnaround, win the Grey Cup. Travis Lule, BC Lions quarterback. We have Tyrell Sutton, running back, Montreal Alouettes. Another BC line who's punt returner slash running back. Guy I actually enjoyed watching. It was exciting plays. Tim Brown. We have our last card. Oh no, we don't. We have 2. Was hoping they're going to be bangers, folks, but they're not, unfortunately. We have Montreal Alouettes quarterback, Grey Cup champion. No, I'm just kidding. We have Tanner Marsh. Last card, folks. Slot back for the Toronto Argonauts, Andre Dury.
he was a decent receiver.
All right, folks, that was fun. Not a little bad, not bad little kind of pack opening here on the channel. Our first one on Canadian Football Fanatics here. I have a bunch of garbage to clean up after the show. Like I said though, if you guys enjoyed, if you guys would like to see more of that, comment down below. Let us know in the chat. We can definitely get more of those pack openings getting on the channel here. Maybe we can get in touch with Pastime Sports and potentially work out some sort of sponsorship. We can make it a regular thing here on the channel. So let us know if you guys enjoyed as well. Let us know if you guys would be interested in a giveaway. So, Blake, let's get going. Before we do, like, comment, subscribe. When you subscribe, press the notification bell. You guys will get a notification every time Blake and I go live, post an episode, or post any other content on the YouTube channel. It would be greatly appreciated. We are almost at, I believe, 150 subscribers on the YouTube channel and at almost 200 on the Instagram. So all the support is greatly appreciated, folks. Me and Blake appreciate you guys so much. It's been a fun ride here so far. So, Blake, let's get into it, buddy. Before we do, like I said, the NFL draft was this past weekend, so let's acknowledge the 4 Canadians that got drafted, heard their name on mostly, I believe it was day two, and then into day three. We had Isaiah Adams, offensive lineman out of Illinois, go in the third round, 71st overall to the Arizona Cardinals. A guy that was considered possibly to go in the CFL draft. I believe was on the top 20 CFL scouting bureau for I believe it's the spring, fall, and then the winter one, I believe. So highly ranked Canadian. Um, Being taken in the third round, you'd probably like to think that's why he didn't get taken in the CFL draft. If I'm not mistaken, I didn't see his name get called in the later rounds. So probably why he'll most likely be in the NFL for a few years, if not the rest of his career. So good luck to Isaiah Adams. Wish him the best. We then had a little bit of British Columbia flavor for Blake and I. We had the first ever UBC Thunderbird to get drafted into the NFL draft in the fourth round. Pick 126 to the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions actually traded up, Blake. I'm not too sure if you actually were able to watch during the draft. The Detroit Lions trading up for Giovanni Manu, UBC offensive lineman in the fourth round, just outside of top 100 pick. Just a great thing for Gio. Obviously, has been talked about since kind of last year, him and Theo blowing up as kind of the twin towers at UBC, the two twin towers offensive linemen at UBC. Um, Coming to this year, they're both kind of getting talked about a fair amount. Theo maybe getting a little bit more attention than Gio. After the season, they have the pro day at BC Place after I believe the national combine takes place. Gio absolutely blows up, weighing in, I believe, at 350 pounds, measuring 6'7" and running a pretty fast time. I believe a pretty significant amount of bench reps, and just testing overly well for how big and fast he is. So gets rewarded. He was actually on Donnie and Dolly. For those that are outside the BC area, a local BC sports show that's on TV, YouTube, all that good stuff, podcast here in BC. He was on the show earlier in the week. He actually kind of, I don't know if it's maybe breaking a little bit of news, but he mentioned that um, in the small talks that he had with the Lions so far, that they maybe mentioned him possibly moving to the right side, and not only moving to the right side, obviously him playing left tackle at UBC and Theo playing on the right side, but they also mentioned the possibility of maybe him playing beside Penny Sewell, perennial All Pro, Pro Bowl offensive lineman in the NFL, as a right guard potentially transitioning inside a little bit, and he would be an absolute mauler as a 6'7", 350 plus pound interior offensive lineman. A little bit kind of on the more rare side and kind of unique side of things to see an interior offensive lineman be 6'7". It's kind of usually those guys are outside, but if they have a plan for him to get on the field in year one because they took him so high and they get him on the field at guard and he can start to develop and kind of learn another add a tool to the toolbox, if you will. I don't think it'll hurt at all, and if he's on the field year one, I think it's only just great for him. So shout out to Gio. Blake and I were actually able to see Gio in person this year. I was able to see Gio, I believe, three times, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Blake a couple times. So super cool that we were able to see. And just by kind of stature terms, he stands out as well as Theo. Just kind of walking off the bus players. Those guys are probably first off the bus when UBC gets off the plane or gets off the bus at opposing Canada West stadiums. So shout out to them. Obviously, we'll talk about Theo in a little bit about where he went. So, in the fifth round, or actually, I guess we'll go into the sixth round. We had Tanner McLaughlin going to the Cincinnati Bengals, sixth round pick 194, tight end out of Arizona, as well as the other tight end, Theo Johnson, tight end out of Penn State, went in the fourth round, 107 to the New York Giants. So two tight ends going in the fourth and fifth round, both in New York, one to the Jets, one to the Giants. Stay tuned, folks. Theo Johnson actually got drafted in the CFL as well with a little orange and black tint. So, last thing in the NFL draft that was a little bit of some CFL flavor, we actually had CFL Rookie of the Year, Quantez Stiger, get drafted, fifth round, 176 to the New York Jets. Um, and excuse me, I said actually both tight ends staying in the New York, one to the Giants, one to the Jets. I meant to say Tanner McLaughlin to Cincinnati Bengals, Quantez Stigger to the Jets. Excuse me. So Quantez Stigger's obviously rookie of the year last year. Didn't play a snap of college football, if I'm not mistaken. Went to the Arena Football League, I believe the fan-controlled football league as well, and then ended up in the CFL Rookie of the Year, and now he is a NFL draft pick. I believe it was like something less than like five players to ever not play a down of I believe it was like Division 1 NCAA football or even just college football in general, if I'm not mistaken, to be selected in the NFL draft. So a little Canadian football flavor. We obviously had five players be selected last year in the NFL draft. This year we had four. So the numbers are going up, and that just goes to show the Canadian talent and why you want to pay attention to not only the CFL, but the CFL draft, CFL Canadian prospects in general. So the numbers are only going to continue to climb, and hopefully next year we have another four or five get selected in the NFL draft. So Blake, let's get into the CFL draft now. And before we do, we were going to start actually with our BC line, so we can kind of have a little bit of fun ourselves before we kind of break things down as a whole. But we did actually have some exciting news, Blake, that I did want to talk about. Our BC Lions, forgive me, folks, for any people that aren't Lions fans for the next, probably 20 to 30-ish minutes. Blake and I are going to go on a little bit of a, just our kind of let our fandom go and kind of something that you can get used to on the show. We're going to probably try to go with, some CFL flavor to start, mix in some lines there in the middle, and then some U Sports there in the end. So kind of trying to stick with our format that we'd like to do here on the show. We're going to go with some Lions talk now, and we actually had some breaking news here today while I was at work. I have the notifications for the BC Lions Twitter. I saw them put out the eye emoji with the little pen signing. I was like, what are they up to? Who is Nathan Rourke? Is Nathan Rourke coming back? That was honestly my first thought was
That would have been
no no way the Patriots are letting him go back to the CFL and he wants to come back. And then I was like, no, that can't. That's too good to be true. That's too good to be true. So we wait, and then we have Christian Covington. Breaking news: NFL veteran Christian Covington, BC boy, went to Vancouver College, played his high school football at Vancouver College, then went down to the University of Rice, if I'm not mistaken. Was a sixth-round pick, number 216 in the 2015 NFL draft to the Houston Texans. Christian Covington. Funny story though, because he actually got drafted as well to the BC Lions in 2015. Who would have thought 9 years later, Blake, he comes home and fulfills a 9-year draft pick, Christian Covington signing with the BC Lions. Longtime veteran, like I mentioned, Cowboys, Broncos, Bengals, Chargers, Lions, Chargers. The stays with Broncos, Lions, and the second one with the Chargers were both actually all three of them were practice roster stays. So don't believe he actually suited up for the Broncos because 2020 would have been the COVID and then the kind of the COVID situation. So don't believe he was a big part of that team. Kind of with the situation of kind of practice fraud roster players having to kind of be like kind of e-bug type players where they're kind of away from the team a little bit because they don't want to get contaminate the main roster players with COVID, and then have the practice roster players not have them safe if there's a breakout with the main roster. So don't really think he was too much a part of the Broncos player. I don't really remember see too many articles, pictures, anything like that throughout his time with the Denver Broncos. But obviously his second stint with the Chargers, and then the Lions was another practice roster stint. So a guy that 9 years of NFL experience, Blake. That is not for nothing. Obviously, I think this is a pretty significant signing. He's coming home because, I believe 10 years, you get a little bit of a bigger pension or something like that down in the NFL. They take care of you a little bit more because of the longer stay in the NFL. So him coming here after 9 years in the NFL, obviously that is not, something to kind of look away at, something to, um, you know, this is a really significant signing for the Lions here pretty late. We're going to sign him May 1st. We play in just over a month. So huge signing for the Lions. My expectations, Blake, is him for probably to get off to a little bit of a slower start, but come maybe Labor Day and then get into September, October playoff time. I really expect this guy to pay dividends and be a really big time player. I saw somebody on Twitter say that pretty much this is a long time NFL vet that's uh, you know kind of, been truthful with himself and said, you know what, I've bounced around from, roster to roster now. Now I'm starting to kind of get practice roster looks and I can't even land on main rosters. I'm going to go home. I'm going to, I've made my money. I'm, probably set, maybe, future generations up with the amount of money he's made in the NFL with staying on some of these rosters. If he's been throwing with his money, not really caring what kind of type of money he's going to have to take in the CFL, coming home and really being, looking forward to hopefully fulfilling this, hopefully home Grey Cup and hopefully getting his Lions to a home Grey Cup, him being able to play a Grey Cup in his first season at home in front of family and friends. And I think that could be really storybook if he's able to kind of, be a big part of why the Lions are able to get it done this season. So, Blake, what were your initial thoughts, buddy, and how excited were you for the signing?
Yeah, I was really excited about the signing. I actually missed the eyes emoji with the pen there. So I was on my lunch at work today as well, and I saw the signing right away. And the name, of course, rings a bell. And I knew that he'd played in the NFL for quite a while, so I was like, wow. I didn't know that he had been drafted by the Lions in 2015. I did know that he played at VC, and unfortunately, I won't hold that against him. No, in all seriousness, that's a great school, and they pump out what was Subway Bowl championships. It's now just BC High School championships. It seems like almost every year. But yeah, it's a really cool signing for the Lions, and I saw on Twitter as well that I think it's really going to bolster the defensive line here. Of course, we lost Matthew Betts to, ironically, the Detroit Lions earlier this year. So I think this signing is kind of going to replace Betts, and we'll see what kind of production he has. And as you mentioned, hopefully the bringing the Lions the Grey Cup back home.
Yeah, I really like this. I think we could expect him to play a little bit more inside Blake than probably on the edge. Him being the bigger body. So look for him to probably play 1 and 3 tech, possibly even get some because of just his experience. But he is kind of getting up there in age. So I would probably tend to expect him more on the inside. But on the outside, man, you look at they bring in Pete Robertson from Saskatchewan. They have still David Menard on the other side, Canadian. Sirhani Tiama is coming back, who was another energetic guy who I think is only going to get better with more reps. And then guys on the inside, Nathan Cherry, Josh Banks, I believe, coming back. So, expecting big things from that D line. I think this is a huge move for the Lions to make this late in the offseason, going into the season. I say it's the offseason. The season's around the corner. It's a huge signing just before the season, especially with his NFL pedigree. So, super excited for the Lions and was really, really looking. I'm just really just put a kind of lit the firework of the excitement just in kind of CFL fans, but BC Lions fans, I guess, especially. So, let's get into the BC Lions draft class before we kind of get into the first round recap, and then we'll kind of recap the second and third rounds
Wait,
and
wait,
so
wait.
on.
Before we do that, Cole, do
Yeah.
you still have, you guys can see the smile on my face. Do you still have the results of our mock draft here? Because one of the names should sound
Yeah,
familiar.
well, so I do, Blake. So before it is exciting, but little miscommunication, Blake. So we didn't act. So we'll get into it. So we did do it in mock draft, folks. We did actually have, um, you know, a few picks right, which is kind of cool. First overall pick, I feel like is kind of Um, maybe nothing to pat your back on because it's been talked about pretty much since the combine that Joel DeBlanco was going to be taken. But um, I thought it was cool that we kind of nailed the number 4 pick Benjamin LeBrose to the Calgary Stampeders, and obviously that wasn't me and you, Blake. That was Mark Steven representing the Calgary Stampeders. um, Canadian Football Hall of Famer, which is cool. But we also nailed one, which we will get into. But let's get into our first round pick, Blake, first. So with the Lions' first round pick, sixth overall, we selected offensive lineman out of the University of Windsor, George. Unfortunately, I'm going to kind of butcher his last name. I'm going to say George Una, but I believe they actually, um, they George kind of reached out to, I don't know if it was like TSN or I forget if I saw it on the draft broadcast or if I saw it on Twitter, that people have been pronouncing his name a little bit incorrectly. I believe it's a kind of a little bit of you emphasize more something more on kind of the last name. So I'm going to say George Una. I know I'm saying it wrong, but a guy that I really loved. For those that are familiar of Blake and I's YouTube page, Instagram page. I actually made a little YouTube short slash Instagram reel of 4 prospects to watch that I really like these guys. I really thought that these guys would translate to the CFL really well. And the BC Lions actually drafted 2 of the 4 of them, folks. It's almost like they are, maybe subscribed to the channel like you should be, or they're following the Instagram page, which potentially we could have maybe some inside sources, Blake. I do know that maybe a one Nick Kowalski follows the page, follows the YouTube channel. Maybe he's listening. Maybe he's putting in a word to Neil McAvoy, Coach Campbell. Listening to the boys and what they're suggesting. So, George Una, versatile offensive lineman, who quote said at the CFL Combine when he spoke to the media, "I love to pass block." I would imagine as soon as VA heard that, he said, "You know what, Coach Campbell, Neil McAvoy, this is the guy I want. Bring him in. He's going to come pass protect for me for as long as I'm a BC Lion." So, love the pick. Like I mentioned, he was a prospect to watch for me. Go check out that if you guys haven't on the YouTube channel. It's on our YouTube Shorts little feed on the channel, as well as the Instagram reel. I believe you can find it on Twitter as well. So go check that out. We had 4 of those guys, and we will mention them when they get brought up here. So George Una was first. He was, like I mentioned, University of Windsor offensive lineman. They obviously had a strong run game this past season. So says he likes to pass block, but comes from a strong run game program at the University of Windsor. Was a CFL Combine standout as well. Tested pretty well for his size and weight, and then was a versatile piece, like I mentioned. I believe playing some guard, playing some center. I believe if you go check out the YouTube short and the Instagram reel, folks, you'll see him kind of kick out to tackle, play guard, play center. I specifically put that in there for a reason to show people why he was so sought after to be taken 6th overall. He plays tackle, guard, and center, has experience at all of them. I think that's why he's going to fit so well with the BC Lions, because I think they're going to have their 5 set. I think Jarrell Broxton, one of Andrew Pearson, Andrew Pearson or David Neville will start at that left guard spot. Michael Couture is going to start at center, Suk Chun at right guard, and then probably Kent Perkins and or some other guys. There was a veteran we brought in free agency. Will probably start at right tackle. So I'd imagine we're going to be able to bring George Una in. He's going to be able to learn, be a versatile backup, be able to be that 6th offensive lineman that's whoever gets hurt in the interior and maybe even at tackle. I saw, I believe it was JC Abbott and Ben Grant on their CFL live show, and they broke down the pick that he can probably get you through a game at tackle, but he's more likely going to probably be a long time CFL interior offensive lineman at guard or center. So expect him to play interior, learn all 3 of those positions: center, left guard, right guard, be able to be a backup, be our 6th offensive lineman. Don't have to worry about kind of having to stash him on, a 6-game injured list or something like that, or leave him out to, kind of get plucked from a CFL team, or even have to straight up cut him. I think he's going to be a guy that dresses from day one. You would hope our first round pick's going to dress from day one. Really excited to see George Una. Hopefully, we're able to see him live in person at training camp here in a few weeks, up close and personal. So, number 2, we went in the second round, 15th overall, if I'm not mistaken. Let me
Yep.
believe it was 15th overall. Correct. The BC Lions took two-time JP Metris Trophy award winner, a pick that I'm glad Blake and I kind of disagreed on, I think, or maybe not even disagreed on, but just kind of had two different opinions on Theo Benedette, UBC offensive lineman, all Canadian. Obviously, a guy that's been getting a ton of NFL talk, NFL attention, and kind of got a little bit of his thunder, almost, I don't know if stolen's the right word, but kind of Geo, obviously rightfully deserving a lot of that shine, right? He obviously worked hard for it, and nobody that's probably rooting for him more than Theo Benedette that's in both their corners, right? But something that I would kind of, or we'll get into it here in a little bit, Blake, is the amount of teams that kind of have to draft players in the first and second rounds with NFL, whether it be training camp invites, mini camp rookie invites, signed as UDFA's, even drafted in general. So I know you were kind of a little bit disappointed in this pick because you thought it was a little bit high, but obviously, Theo Benedette signed with the Chicago Bears as a undrafted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. So nothing guaranteed. He did get a 20K signing bonus, I believe. Farhan Lalji reported. Um, so although it is a pretty significant signing bonus from what I've heard for UDFA, that kind of they see some potential in this guy. They think highly of him. Hopefully, he can really make the roster and or a practice squad. Um, he's not guaranteed anything other than the 20K, right? And to an NFL team, I think that's pretty much peanuts. So, um, yes, he's probably not guaranteed to come to the CFL for probably 1 or 2 years at least. I would say at the minimum. Um, I reflect back to a Christian Covington. If he comes to to BC in 5 or 6 years, hopefully he comes home, right? So, personally, I like the pick because we have the rights. A guy that's not going to be in the CFL, folks, for 1 or 2 years, like I said, minimum, probably more close to 3 or 4, 5 or 6 years. I think he's going to get a significant opportunity, whether it's with Chicago or maybe he finds another practice squad here or there for a few years, bounces around. I think Theo Benedette is a NFL quality depth offensive lineman and a CFL starting NFL starting CFL lineman for sure. So, Blake, tell us a little bit of kind of your thoughts on the pick, and maybe if your opinions have changed just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not that I didn't like the pick. I just, as you kind of said, Cole, I thought it was kind of high. But I was listening to our friends at the Piffles podcast. Shout out to them, Alex, Greg, and Steve, the Saskatchewan Roughriders podcast, and they kind of went through a similar thing with their first and their second round pick, I believe. Their first round pick, I believe, was Kyle Herzog or something like that. And he was actually drafted in the NFL. So it's unlikely he's going to come to Saskatchewan as well. I just thought that, our other friend who tunes in often, the Roar Report on Twitter, he kind of didn't like, we'll say he dislikes the draft. We'll put it that way. He thinks the futures pick should be later in the round, 5, 6, 7, whatever. But
Keep going if you want, but I'm glad you kind of said something because I'm gonna go on a rant in a second, but keep going on kind of how you felt about the pick.
yeah, for sure. So I think that maybe Theo could have been around third, fourth round, something like that. But then again, after listening to our friends at the Pitfalls podcast, they kind of said, you know what? Like, if Theo was your guy, he's from North Van or somewhere around that area. I know the Lions tweeted out the draft call, and he was on campus at in North Van when he was there. So if he's kind of your guy, like you said, if he doesn't make the NFL in 2 or 3 years, the Lions still have his rights. So if he were ever to come back to the CFL, it's kind of the opposite of Nathan Rourke, where I believe if for whatever reason the Patriots cut him or someone else doesn't pick him up, the Lions no longer have his rights.
Game.
He's a nine, all nine CFL teams can pick Nathan Rourke. So with Theo, if he was to, hopefully he does. You and I talked with him back in March, just before the combine, I believe it was Cole, and he kind of said then that he had had some NFL aspirations. So we wish him the best of luck. But if for whatever reason it doesn't work out in the NFL, the Lions still have his rights, and he's able to come home and play for the hometown team, as he said, the team that he grew up watching, the BC Lions.
Yes, and funny story, JC Abbott actually reported it. He was talking to him, I believe, at maybe the pro day or something like that, but he actually said that longtime CFL fan, longtime BC Lions fan, but not a Casey Printers fan. Casey Printers, I believe, actually, I don't know if I can't remember. It was Casey Printers actually turned him down for either a autographed and or picture, and one Theo Benedette has not forgotten and has held a grudge. So, as Blake mentioned, and I'm glad he did, he mentioned Raw Report, a few people on Twitter, and honestly, this reason specifically is the biggest reason why I started a podcast because not that I think I know better than people or just um I think I have a reasonable idea and I think I have a reasonable ability to kind of like explain things to other people so that they can kind of form their own opinion and not just kind of um try to like think like me or like so Raw Report tweets out, and I feel like he's kind of super negative for like a fan account or like a team account a lot of the time, um, which I really don't enjoy. And actually, if he's watching, I kind of hope he's watching. I actually unfollowed him today, Blake, because I feel like he's just he's super negative all the time. And then two, I've really had enough of his like slander against the CFL draft, Canadians in general. Considering he's a BC Lions Twitter account in the CFL, and he's most likely a Canadian. Um, the thing that I really don't like is that he just like completely like throws the CFL draft to the wind. Genius. I hate to break it to you, but teams in the NFL, if they if NFL GMs hit maybe like 2 or 3 picks out of, let's say they have 1 pick in 7 rounds. So they go 2 for 7. To maybe an outside to a fan, that's probably not perceived really good, right? But that's and more often than not, the draft in general is a crapshoot. And does that say that their player is not good? No. It says that player either can't adapt to the next level, pro football, that being the NFL, that being the CFL, or maybe they just didn't get the best situation. Maybe their situation didn't allow them to fulfill their best abilities in the right way. Whereas maybe some players go to the better situation. I think of a not that I think in the NFL, Sam Darnold or a Baker Mayfield is better than one Josh Allen. I obviously think Josh Allen is better, but let's say roles are reversed, where maybe Josh Allen goes to the New York Jets, maybe Sam Darnold goes to the Buffalo Bills. I think Sam Darnold's a better quarterback than one Josh Allen because of the situation. So I think the slander against the NFL or the CFL draft is super just one disrespectful because there is a ton of talent. You said it yourself, I believe one is your tweet. The Grey Cup winning catch was from a U Sports wide receiver. The the MOP, obviously it's a most outstanding Canadian, is a Canadian. He probably should have been or I guess he was sorry, most outstanding Canadian. He should have been probably the MOP, considering we just gave it to Zach Collaros again. There is a ton of Canadian talent. The Montreal Alouettes, I believe I saw. I wish I took a picture of it. Uh, it was on the draft cast. All their first and second round draft picks in the last, I think it was 4 to 5 years, that were in the first 3 to 4 rounds that were significant contributors on their team. So I hate that people have, and it's unfortunate because the day and age we live in, that people have the opportunity to kind of like form people's opinions in the wrong ways because like you said, right? You kind of got an opinion because of Raw Report and what he was kind of saying, right, and stuff like that. Same with Jay, who's a loyal listener to us, who was Raw Report tweets out a friendly reminder of why the CFL draft's not important and why not to watch, and then Jay's like, because unfortunately Jay's kind of doesn't follow the CFL draft as it's just not out there on it's not as like broadcasted on TSN and stuff like that, right? Unfortunately, other than maybe a few times it's shown, you're not really you're not really seen. Jay also works at nights, so he's not probably. I don't know if he was able to take in the draft. So, um, when you say things like that, and people are kind of are like listening to you, they look up to you because we're all Lions fans. We like your like we're looking for your kind of opinion. I feel like it's just kind of like you're doing the CFL a disservice when you're doing things like that. You're doing the BC Lions a disservice. He always like criticizes. I feel like more than he like pats the team on the back, which is like, dude, if you don't like this, if you're always like criticizing, you don't have to like be a fan. You don't have to tweet all these things. Nothing will change about their life. They don't listen to you. As much as I like to joke about they're listening to us, they're listening to, you know, they're a professional organization who have to protect their jobs. So as much as maybe I joke about it, as much as maybe it comes across their timelines every once in a while, just a small rant and something that really bugs me because in our day and age, yes, a ton of people are able to kind of, start a podcast and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to say that people aren't able to have their own opinions, but form your opinion and allow others to kind of have a different opinion and be able to kind of have a creative discussion, a great argument about it rather than like, oh no, don't watch the draft. This is the way it is. Blah 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 blah. Yes, of the nine picks, in let's say of the nine picks in the first round, are all nine of them going to be great CFL players? Probably not. But are three of them going to be great CFL players? Probably. Of the what 70, 80 guys picking, are all 70 of them going to be are all they going to be great? No. But are 20 of them going to be great? Are 10 of the 20 of them going to be good CFL players? Probably, most likely, because let me tell you, a majority of CFL, or not a majority of CFL rosters, but CFL teams have to have Canadians on their roster. You have to have valuable Canadians playing on their teams.
Seven
Are
starters,
there
but not.
are there CFL players that, like I mentioned, that don't fulfill maybe their what they're lived up to before the draft? Absolutely. Does that mean they're not a good player? No, it's not. They're professional football players for a reason. That's why we're here recording, and that's why they're being drafted. That's why they're being playing, because they're the 1% of football players, the 1% of players that put on shoulder pads and helmets. I would love to know if Roll Report has ever played football before, if he's just being a really sideline cheerleader right now. And please feel free, if he is watching, get back at me. Feel free to voice your opinion because I am okay with allowing people to have other opinions than myself and have a creative discussion. I just unfollowed you because you're super negative and I don't need it anymore about my BC Lions. So my rant is over for the day. We will continue about our BC Lions. Blake and not let anybody uh, ruin our night. So we will go to the third round pick. George Una first round, and then Theo Benedette, two offensive linemen, Blake, like we wanted. We go to the third round where Blake was excited. But Blake, I do have to break it to you. We did take Ezekiel Tiede, wide receiver from Concordia. Um, he actually wasn't the receiver, Blake. We took Kevin
Oh,
Stefansius. But that's okay, Blake. That's okay because we did take the right DB, and we will get to that in the next pick. But so Ezekiel Tide, Concordia wide receiver, um, a very intriguing prospect, a guy that was talked about quite a bit on the Sunday broadcast of the CFL Combine because he was actually taking reps at quarterback. Yes, I said receiver,
right.
dropped as a receiver, but he was taking reps at quarterback because all but one of the quarterbacks, I believe, were kind of out with the flu, if you will. Um, he has to, having prior, I believe, played quarterback in high school, stepped up, won JC Abbott and Ben Grant on that live reaction of the draft. They actually said had the best throw of the combine. So thought that was pretty cool. Wide receiver, I believe, is his position that will be most likely in the pros. Who knows though? Maybe he'll be a little bit of a wildcat type quarterback, but you never know. So Blake, he actually has a very unique path. If I'm not mistaken, he played quarterback in high school. He then went to Boston College and started his career as a defensive back, and then later transitioned to a linebacker at Boston College. He then transfers to the University of Toledo, spends some time there, and then comes home to Canada and transitions to playing wide receiver. Played 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, at Concordia. Kind of spent some time playing outside receiver as well as in the slot, and then um, came his draft year. So I believe a guy that's going to be able to compete. I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to start right away. Going to be on the bubble, to be honest, of making a roster spot because of some of the depth that will be behind him. I even think of someone like a global pick from last year, of like a Giovanni Robinson that was impressive last year, who I think is highly thought of after in
I
that.
have an I have an opinion on the global draft, but I'll let you finish first, Cole.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't think I kind of tend to agree like with probably your opinion on the global draft, but I think this guy's more of like a traits guy, like kind of a guy that I think you're gambling on his traits, right? I believe he was a 6'7" receiver, Blake, who had I don't know if you remember his two, or maybe he didn't have two touchdowns. He had one touchdown for sure in Saskatchewan in the preseason game. Big body receiver, super raw. He was actually a basketball player. Not too sure if he actually played any college football, but basketball player, global draft pick from the BC Lions last year. Showed some promise in the preseason and really adapted to pro football super quickly, considering his lack of experience. So interested to see how Ezekiel Tuiode is able to compete at training camp and vie for a active roster spot, but I don't see it. I would expect him to be maybe outside of the roster type player, possibly on the practice roster, hopefully on the practice roster, but um, we will see. He will be able to prove me wrong, and I think he is someone that you can be excited about because he is a versatile piece, can play outside, inside. Was willing to play special teams, if I'm not mistaken. That was mentioned at the combine. So I know a guy that hopefully is able to be valuable depth because the Lions starting two Canadians. I think three was pretty unlikely, anyways, because we're going to start probably two Canadian offensive linemen, probably a Canadian safety, two Canadian backers. That's seven right there. So you probably don't need to start the third Canadian receiver. So all you need to do pretty much is just Justin McInnes or Javon Katoy get hurt. You need to be a valuable depth option off the bench because your name's most likely going to be called in that Canadian uh, ratio kind of area because him being I don't. We did sign that Canadian. I believe it Justin Hardy. I believe it is a veteran Canadian receiver
Yeah,
from Ottawa
Jake Hardy.
or
Jake Hardy.
Jake Hardy, yes, you're right, correct. So we will go to our third round pick. So that Ezekiel Tuiode pick was actually the second round, 19th overall pick. That was the rewarded pick to the BC Lions for the most, or the I guess the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the BC Lions had the most snaps given to Canadian players, and replaced the territorial picks with those picks. So the BC Lions got an extra second round pick as well as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Um, Lions took Ezekiel Tuiode at 19. So in the third round, the BC Lions took the second prospect to watch. Two of four of my prospects to watch. Love this pick. And Blake, this was actually our pick. I took him at the 19th pick, actually. Round two, 19th pick. He goes to the Lions. Round three, pick 26. So maybe, a little bit of a reach on my part in the draft, but a guy that, as I mentioned, prospect to watch, a guy I was super high on. Really wanted him to be a BC Lime, a guy that can play. Like I mentioned, go check out, folks. I made the YouTube shorts, Instagram reels for these four prospects to watch. A guy that had, a little bit of tape highlights on at halfback, corner, as well as safety. I think this guy is prime competition for Adrian Green, and they're gonna Adrian Green, Christophe Boyu. They're gonna bring these two guys into a room and let the best man win, and whoever walks out will probably be the starting safety for your BC Lions. I would imagine this upcoming season. I would honestly folks probably lean towards Adrian Green because he is a veteran. But Christophe Boyu, love his game, outside ability, can play corner. Not too sure if the Lions will feel comfortable with his. I don't remember how fast his 40 exactly was. I believe it was like a 4.6, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Possibly can stay outside, but I would look for this guy to maybe probably stay inside at halfback or safety. So really like this guy. This guy was just really good feel for the defensive backfield. Could play well in zone, could play well in man. Go check out his, as well as George Una, folks. We'll get into the other two guys in a second here. George Una, Christophe Boyu. Go check out the prospects to watch. YouTube shorts, Instagram reel videos. Just absolutely great film on both those guys. Um, Christophe Boyu in general, just great feel and coverage. A guy that was able to have some highlights in zone, in man, go able to get the ball and intercept the ball in man, intercept the ball in zone. So just a good overall defensive back, and just really excited. Like I said, I think this guy is prime competition for Adrian Green. I think ultimately, unfortunately for Christophe Boyu, he's going to probably be what probably ultimately loses him this opportunity, because I think this is only going to push Adrian Green to another level. To this kid's not going to come in and take my job. I need to take it up to another level with veterans like Ryan Phillips in the secondary, Gary Peters. I know TJ Lee's not there, but veterans still in that room. Marcus Sales will be in his ear that this guy's coming to take your job and kind of try to steal food off your table, if you will. So I only expect the best out of Adrian Green. Really excited to see Christophe Boyu in year two and in year three. I think this guy can be a long-time CFL starter at safety. So super excited, Blake. Anything on Ezekiel Tide or Christophe Boyu?
No, but if we have a moment here, can I go on my rant about the global draft just a little bit?
Absolutely. So that concludes the Lions' top 30 picks. George Una first round, Theo Benedet second round, Ezekiel Tide second round, Christophe Boyu in the third round. Blake, the floor is yours. Rant away.
Okay, first of all, the Lions, there's one more pick I want to make a mention of, and I think you know where I'm going to go with this one, but it's Dawson Marchand, who is the Lions, I believe, last pick in the draft. And the reason I'm mentioning it is because he played for the junior team that I am a fan of, the Langley Rams. So a CJFL pick that went to the Lions. But as far as the global draft is concerned, it's kind of similar to your rant about the Canadian draft, if you will, Cole. But the global draft, I am so sick and tired of the global draft as fans being all alike and whatever. And we're all fans of the CFL. And every single year, CFL fans are like, oh, yeah, whatever. The global draft, it's on in the morning. Come wake me up when the actual draft is on later tonight. There's so many players that have actually made an impact in the CFL that have come from the global draft. Simone Tuhema, I believe, was the global draft. Thibaut Debaye was the global draft. The Riders punter, Adam Korzak, was the global draft. Look at a guy like Dean Faithful. He was from the global draft. The global draft works, people. Please stop using the global draft as a throwaway. It's not a throwaway. A lot of these players have played professionally in Europe. They've been on buses to Paris, to Moscow, to Berlin, wherever. They're not the NCAA guys that you are drafting. A lot of these guys have talent. Please respectfully see that. I know the second guy the Lions picked, Troy Taylor, I believe his name is. He's drafted in the NFL, so he's probably not going to come to the CFL. But for the love of everything CFL, please stop using the global draft as a throwaway.
Absolutely love it, Blake. Is the global draft a crapshoot? Yes. Is the NFL draft a crapshoot? Like I said, yes. You're never guaranteed to hit on a prospect as much as a, um, you know, for sure thing. He's gonna be coming in. He's gonna be great. It's not guaranteed, right? This happens all the time. Teams take first overall picks in the NFL and mess them up, and they are fired. Right? These things cost people their jobs. So, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Is the draft hard? Absolutely. Is the global draft hard? Probably yes, more than any other. But does that mean that there's no players in there? There's no kind of reward for work as a team and find the right guy, put him in the right situation, and then you all obviously help to develop him and put in some time and give him some resources, right? Give him a Sean Bowman, a Thibaut Tobias, right? Like you said, Sienna Chama, come in. They learn from a guy like Sean Bowman, able to like I mentioned earlier, add some more tools in their tool bag and kind of get better and hopefully even contribute even more this year. I think Thibaut Tobias is going to be a really big contributor going into this year, and we saw him contribute even more down the stretch when Nathan Cherry got his injury. So the global draft works. I agree with you so much. Blake, before we get into the CFL draft, I do know he's probably still listening, but I do want to say we do have our first giveaway tweet. He did mention both of ours, but it's obviously our main man, Jay. So the good thing for me, I don't have to pay shipping. Um, I can just go find Jay, go over to Jay's house, drop off the card. Jay, we'll do this for you, buddy. I will let Jay pick because he's in the Nine he's subscribed, because he's a little listener. Jay, I will let you pick. What do you think? What do you think, Blake? Three? What do you think? Three? Should we let him pick three?
Yeah, let's let him pick three.
Jay, we will let you pick three cards of any kind. All are on. All are up for grabs. We won't even put any off limits. Paris Jackson, Rolly Lumbala, Stanley Bryant, you name it. You can pick three cards from that stack, Jay. Uh, Mention us in that tweet down below, or reply to that tweet that you mentioned us, or let us know in the chat, and Blake and I will remember. We're going to hold this any way you can, buddy, and we will get you those three cards. So Jay has three. We will still give away two more, folks. So that's a total of five cards now. If you're nice, if you guys do it this show, maybe we'll give away another three or something. So maybe we'll give someone else three cards or something. So Blake, that concludes the BC Lions draft class. And as always, we are all over an hour. And I'm not wanting to stay too much longer because I'm getting a little bit hungry, want to get food. But we cannot, it's a CFL draft recap. We cannot get out of here without talking some CFL draft in general. So we will do a little first round recap, second and third round recap very quickly. And then I have a few questions, Blake. So try to think of them while we're going through while I'm recapping these picks. And then at the end, I'm probably going to ask. We were going to have Shane Ray, 13th Man Sports founder, I guess if that's what you want to call it, on the program, but he wasn't able to make it work here tonight. Shane was actually nice enough to make the graphic thumbnail for the show here tonight. Shout out to Mackenzie, shout out to Jay. Mackenzie actually didn't have the time to make the graphic this week just because had some things going on, work with some new gig at work and stuff like that. So all good to Mackenzie. Appreciate you so much, Mackenzie, for all the support in the past. But Shane was able to step up. Both Mackenzie and I contributors for 13th Man Sports. And Shane was able to help us out this week. So Shane, thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate it, and hopefully Shane's able to join us at another time. I would imagine he'll join us at some point throughout the season for sure. So let's get into it, Blake. The CFL draft wrapped up yesterday night, and it was fun to tune in for the first probably it was basically two rounds. Tuned in until 7 o'clock. Obviously, puck drop with the Canucks. I was I was I was waving my towel, Blake. I was waving my towel. It
Didn't
didn't
work.
work. It didn't work. But 7 o'clock came, and I'll be honest, folks. I had the draft on my computer, but super hard to pay attention because of the volume of the game. Number one, and then just it being a Canucks playoff game. Was trying to go back and forth, but was hard. I'll be honest, it was hard. And then yeah, it was just a good draft overall. My first actual draft of usually I kind of pay attention from afar for the CFL draft. My first CFL draft of actually knowing some of the prospects. Usually I know more about the NFL draft, and the CFL draft this year was roles completely reversed. I probably knew not in depth, but probably knew a fair amount about the I would say maybe about 20, 25 prospects, where I did a little bit of homework, nothing too crazy on film study, just kind of the basic YouTube highlight videos, which obviously there's a lot of YouTube highlight video warriors on Twitter that like to say I watched film, which I don't like to say that. I watch the highlight videos. I like to admit it because obviously on the highlight videos, Blake, going to be highlights and never their lowlights, and stuff like that. Never stuff like that they can improve on, or maybe that a rep that they got beat on that they can kind of take that within themselves and show their coaches and stuff like that and learn lessons from that within their kind of organizations, their teams. But really liked Just overall, where was I going again, Blake?
The draft.
The draft. Okay, so let's get into it. The Canucks game in the draft distracted me. The first round, I will recap the first round quickly, Blake. Like I mentioned, a few questions for everybody at home watching, as well as Blake for afterwards. Before we get out of here, a few questions. Possibly like maybe favorite draft class from a team. Biggest steal. Who's maybe your favorite fit? Maybe a surprise guy that fell. Who's maybe your favorite? You can even go a favorite BC Lions pick. Whoever is tuning in for for your favorite team. If you're a Saskatchewan Roughriders fan, maybe you're my favorite Riders pick or something like that. So feel free to let us know in the comments down below. But before we get going, Jay actually, thank you so much. But he says I got to remember what cards they were. LOL, which is funny because Jay, I don't blame you whatsoever because I just forgot what I was going on about. So it happens to the best of us, pal. I will message you or something like that. And we can kind of go through them or something. I'm sure you're gonna want maybe a Lions card or something like that, or even someone to do with the Lions. So don't worry, I will reach out to you, buddy. He actually was with us though, buddy. He's with us, Blake. He says I followed the CFL draft on Twitter and IG while listening to the Canucks game on radio. I know Jay's a big radio guy. I know he listens to the Nanaimo Clippers BCHL team on radio too, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. So, Jay, old school with the radio, I like, and obviously, listener of our friend of the program, Julio Caravetta and the Moj, when the Lions kick off things. So, Jay, maybe comment down below, buddy, why you're so into the radio and why you still use it. Because I know not a lot of people use it. I used to listen to the pay per view games back in the day of the BC Lions,
Yeah.
or the BC Lions, the Canucks. Um, but now I don't own a radio other than in the car. So I know there's apps and stuff like that, but it's just funny because it feels like radios are it's like VCRs, I guess. They're old school. But let's get into it, Blake. The first round here, let's recap things. With the first pick in the 2024 CFL Draft, the Edmonton Elks selected Joel DeBlanco, a linebacker to Cincinnati, guy that had NFL experience with the the Seattle Seahawks, New Orleans Saints, and then in the USFL as well. Guy that's been perceived as kind of like a plug and play guy that's hopefully going to be a contributor from day one for the Edmonton Elks. At number two, we had Nick Marner, wide receiver, Auburn. Um, Wide receiver had kind of been pretty much mocked to the Ottawa Redblacks at number two for the most part. Nick Marner actually has a minicamp invite to the New York Jets. What's those rookie minicamp invites and minicamp invites in general don't have too much security, especially when they don't have any money attached or any signing bonuses. So definitely a guy that could still be in the CFL, but a big body. I believe he's a 6'6" receiver. Ran a pretty. I believe he was like 4'5" or 4'6" 40. Would have been top five for his position. Would have been top 10 for maybe the entire combine. So a guy that can be a big time weapon for the Red Blacks, and we'll like to see. I was gonna say he's Mr. Head Top Junior out there with Dom Rhymes and um, uh, Nick Marner now, but I saw our boy Justin McKinnon say, I want to kind of create my own thing. So I'm not even going to put that on the young man Nick Marner of Mr. Head Top Junior. Let him create his own nickname, but he is a big body. They're creating a basketball team down there with Dominic Rhymes and Nick Marner. So number three,
Help him with.
yeah, the Saskatchewan Roughriders took at number three Kyle Hergel, Boston College offensive lineman, who signed as a UDFA actually, Blake, with the New Orleans Saints, our man Jay's favorite team. So someone that Jay can keep an eye on. He has a Canadian on his squad with Kyle Hergel, offensive lineman at a Boston College. I believe he's a kind of more of an interior offensive lineman. I believe he is actually pretty significantly highly graded offensive lineman by PFF, the college PFF grading system. So we'll see how that guy does in the NFL, and who knows how long it'll take before he's in the NFL if he comes to the NFL or the CFL, excuse me. And then at number four, Benjamin LaBrose, DB out of McGill, guy that obviously blew up the combine, tested very, very well. Believe he was a former Syracuse Orange football player, came back to Canada with McGill, and was a very talented defensive back for the McGill, and has climbed draft boards so much. And somebody that a lot of people were high on, but I kind of not as high on. I'm not as low on him maybe as I kind of perceive him, but I'm just not as high as kind of everyone thinks. And I think 4 was pretty high. I really thought he was maybe like a top 20 pick, but I know there's teams that were drafting him within the top, or mock drafts that were taking him within the top 10 picks. So fair enough, and wishing Benjamin LeBros the best of luck with the Calgary Stampeders, except for when they're playing BC. At number 5, and I think the steal of the first round, Kevin Mytel, who I thought was going to be number 2 pick, and I thought the Argos stole him at number 5. Great fit. I think he's going to be able to come in, compete from day one to be a starting receiver for Dal, who shall not be named, I guess, at quarterback for now, and the Toronto Argonauts. But great pick for the Argos. I can't believe he fell to number 5. I think he's a top 3, top 2 talent in this entire draft. I think this guy's a CFL ready guy, both somebody that we were both high on, but that's not telling you too much because everybody was high on Kevin Mytel. Obviously, Vanier Cup MVP, All Canadian, a U Sports MVP, the best player in U Sports in 2022. So very, very highly sought after, and he slips to number 5 for the Toronto Argonauts. Number 6, George Una, offensive lineman out of University of Windsor. We already talked to him to our BC Lions. And number 7, a guy that I liked, and he was our third prospect to watch, Nathaniel Dumoulin-Duguay, offensive lineman out of Laval. Another versatile offensive lineman who I thought would be a great fit in BC because he's able to be a versatile piece, center, guard, and tackle flexibility. Very athletic, 2-time All-Canadian at the University of Laval, and I thought he'd be the next great lineman out of the Rouge or program. So great pick by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Like I mentioned about the other 2 guys, George Una, Christophe Boyu, Nathaniel Dumoulin-Duguay was part of our prospects to watch series as our third prospect to watch, offensive lineman at the University of Laval. You can find that on YouTube and Instagram as well. So let's get to pick number 8, and this was a trade by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Calgary Stampeders came up, and I believe they gave the Winnipeg Blue Bombers pick number 13 and 14 in
Yeah.
the second round, and the Stampeders got pick number 8 and 28, if I'm not mistaken. So the Calgary Stampeders selected Christina Canu, offensive lineman, Washington State, in the first round. They're coming back into the first round to pick their offensive lineman. So to end the first round, we had Jeffrey Canton-Arcou, a linebacker, Memphis. Very, very, very productive linebacker down there, Memphis. Wasn't too familiar with him because I thought he'd be more of a NFL guy, which he does get a rookie minicamp invite with the Miami Dolphins. But like I mentioned before, those minicamp invites and rookie camp are just minicamp invites in general don't have too much security just because there's no money attached to them. When there's that hard cash, when there's a signing bonus attached to them, there's kind of more of a opportunity for you that you're probably guaranteed at least to get to training camp, right? A lot of
Yeah.
these guys don't even have to get to training camp. Sometimes these guys are unfortunately just bodies for OTAs, mini camp, rookie mini camp, all that sort of thing. So Jeffrey Canton-Arcou ends the first round, a linebacker out of Memphis. To the second round now, folks. We'll go a little bit faster because I don't know too much more. Or I don't know, starting to lose a little bit more knowledge as we get into the second round and third round here. We have Edmonton Elks selecting DK Bunham, linebacker, South Alabama. I actually thought it was kind of funny, Blake, and so Chris Jones, that I believe they actually have drafted 3 linebackers with their last first round picks. Last year they drafted the guy from Montreal, if I'm not mistaken, the linebacker, and then they drafted this year Joel Blanco, linebacker, with their first round pick. They drafted linebacker with their second round pick, a linebacker with their third round pick. I have no idea what Chris Jones is doing, but it's so Chris Jones.
Does anybody?
DK Bunham, it's it's so Chris Jones, man. I don't even know. Number 10, DK Bunham, South Alabama linebacker, to start the second round. Ottawa Redblacks get Daniel Okpoko, D line, San Diego State, at number 11 in the second round. A D lineman that first D lineman off the board, and I think is a guy that hopefully can contribute on special teams right away. Quite the athlete for his size, but we will see. And then maybe a surprise pick, but somebody I am super duper high on, Blake. One of my favorite prospects in this year's class. The Saskatchewan Roughriders took Nick Weeb, linebacker out of the Saskatchewan Huskies program. They keep him in Saskatchewan. Not a Saskatchewan boy. He's actually from Alberta, if I'm not mistaken. Actually walked on to the University of Oregon. Yes, the University of Oregon Ducks program, folks. Division One. If I'm not mistaken, played 3 years there as kind of a role linebacker slash special teams player. came back to Canada, wanted to go to a good program, went to the Huskies, played 2 years there, was a phenomenal player. If you watch any Saskatchewan Huskies games, like I've been watching on Canada West TV here in the off season, he absolutely jumps off the page when you watch those games. So a guy that's all over. Unfortunately for him, he actually tore his ACL in the Canada West Hardy Cup semifinal against the Alberta Golden Bears. So, like you were mentioning earlier, Blake, and another good point that I'm going to bring up for those that are mentioning kind of, Theo Benedict being taken a little bit early, the Saskatchewan Roughriders pretty much punted on their first two picks. They get Kyle Hergel, Boston College offensive lineman, but he signed with the New Orleans Saints with, I believe, a little bit of a signing bonus there, pretty much guaranteed to get to camp, almost guaranteed to miss at least a majority of the season, if not his first season. So, not going to see him this year. That's the third overall pick. You're pretty much punting away. You get into the second round, number 12th overall, Nick Weeb. You're pretty much guaranteeing you're not going to see him until at least Labor Day, if not September, October. At that point, I really just think you give him a red shirt rookie year. You tell him, you know what, let's get you better off the field. Let's make sure you're healthy. Come back in year two and hit the ground running. I think this guy's going to be a great player. Make sure you remember his name, folks, for next year. Nick Weeb, linebacker, Saskatchewan Roughriders, pick number 12. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers select wide receiver Kevin Seclair, CS, Connecticut, a guy that Blake and I picked in our mock draft, who we thought we picked, but we didn't. A guy that I'm really high on. He actually had, I believe it was at his pro day or something like that, or maybe even at the combine, but he had like the best grip strength throughout the receivers or something like that. A guy that I love. That's why we picked him in the mock draft, because he can play special teams, willing to play special teams, has some highlight clips on his YouTube channel of him specifically playing, special teams, willing to play special teams. So a guy that I think will be able to is kind of a good fit for Winnipeg. Learn behind a guy like Kenny Lawler. He kind of has a similar build to Kenny Lawler, like kind of like a 6'2", 6'1", string bean kind of guy, a little bit light. But if he can learn from Kenny Lawler, combine the special teams ability, I think he can develop into something for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers down the road. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take him at 13th overall. Then they had the second back-to-back pick. They had 13, 14 from the Calgary Stampeders trade. They took running back slash fullback Michael Krisak out of Delaware State, a guy that is listed as a running back, played running back at Delaware State, but some are saying that he might transition to a fullback in the CFL, a little bit of a bigger body. I believe he's like 5'10", 225 pounds. At the combine is what he weighed in. But we will see. Maybe this is, Brady Oliveira insurance. They obviously have Brady Oliveira, DJ. Is it DJ Augustine? No,
Johnny Augustine.
Johnny Augustine there as well. So I would imagine, probably one RB1 and 2 are probably safe, and his role is probably more of a special teams type of role slash depth option if there was to be an injury. So the BC Lions are on the clock, and they took Theo Bennett at 15. Not much to say there. Luke Brubaker, Hamilton Tiger Cats at 16, D line from Laurier. He actually got a rookie camp mini invite from the New York Jets as well. A guy that's been getting a lot of praise. I think he would have gone a little bit higher if he didn't have the mini camp invite, because I think teams are a little bit nervous that this guy is going to get snatched up by some NFL teams and really see some of this potential. This guy actually didn't play any high school football, was a boxer growing up, walked on to the Wilfrid Laurier program, actually messaged the coach and said, "Hey, I'm interested in playing." I believe the coach actually kind of like was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever, man." And then I believe Brubaker kind of made like a kind of a workout tape, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Sent it to the coach again, said, "Hey, you really want to kind of pass up on this opportunity?" Luke Brubaker goes into Wilfrid Laurier. That summer camp, was a day one starter. Didn't get taken off the field for his entire career, and was fairly productive. And then had a great showing at the CFL Combine. He goes 16th overall to Hamilton. Then Winnipeg Blue Bombers back at the clock at 17. Gabe Wallace, offensive lineman, to the from Buffalo University. A mauling offensive lineman that can play guard and tackle. A BC boy from Salmon Arm, BC. So wishing him luck, except for when you're playing BC. And then we have a shocker pick. We also have Chris Jones being Chris Jones, folks. We have Chris Jones taking
A linebacker.
Bradley Haladic, long snapper slash fullback. Shout out to Bradley Haladic, good guy. Obviously family member of Ben Haladic, linebacker for the BC Lions. UBC player, but Bradley is pretty much strictly a long snapper because he plays fullback tight end, but he did not start for the UBC Thunderbirds, which is no slight because Robertson, I believe, is a draft pick of somebody in the CFL. So a guy that got drafted came back to school. So sitting behind a CFL player is nothing to slight about. And he was actually an All Canadian as well, Robertson at fullback tight end. So um, it's just kind of weird because they drafted a backup fullback tight end and he's a long snapper, which they've drafted three long snappers in 3 straight years. So this is their third straight linebacker and their third straight linebacker or long snapper, excuse me. Chris Jones is unique, folks. So let's just Ezekiel Tide, 19 to the BC Lions, Concordia receiver, and then one of my favorite picks, Kyle Sampson, defensive tackle, UBC to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Those darn Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And then the third round, we had Edmonton at 21, Oliver Muwembe, linebacker out of Queens. Ottawa 22, Dawson Pierre, DB out of Concordia. Saskatchewan 23, Dell Duncan Busby, wide receiver, Bemidji State, a guy that I actually like. I think he can be a contributor for the Riders right away on special teams. Argos take Tyson Hergott, D lineman out of Waterloo, another one of my prospects to watch, the fourth and final one of the prospects to watch on the YouTube channel, the YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, as well as the Twitter page. You can find those videos on George Una, Nathaniel Dumoulin Duguay, Christophe Boyu, and Tyson Hergott. Tyson Hergott taken 24th overall, D lineman out of Waterloo to the Toronto Argonauts. John Bosse, offensive lineman, Calgary, taken to the Toronto Argonauts once again at pick number 25 in the third round. A project offensive lineman who is a little bit of a raw guy, kind of I believe he's a basketball player growing up. Raw piece of clay that somebody can mold into something pretty good. I believe he has is pretty significant long arms. I believe it was like 36-inch long arms or something like that break, which is pretty significant even for like an NFL combine measurable standpoint. So I believe an interesting and intriguing prospect to see what they can do with that. So John Bosse goes 25 to the Toronto Argonauts. And then we had Christophe Boyu, DB, go to the BC Lions at 26. We had another pick that I really liked, Tyshawn Blackburn, DB out of Alberta, go to 27 to the Toronto Argonauts once again in the third round. Pick number 28 in the third round, George Adoku, D lineman out of Sask. This pick was the pick that the Calgary Stampeders got in the Winnipeg trade earlier in the draft. And then to end the draft, Blake, and actually a pretty significant story and pretty cool story actually to end things off here, Blake. The Montreal Alouettes selected number 29th overall in the third round, Arthur Hamlin, DB out of Colgate. Blake, if I'm not mistaken, and I really hope I'm getting this right. I believe Arthur is actually like I believe he's a cancer survivor, if I'm not mistaken. Which is absolutely phenomenal and just like salute to you and I just tip my cap to you so much. If I'm not mistaken, like I really hope I'm not messing that up. If I heard that correctly, I believe it was Arthur Hamlin, DB out of Colgate, that was the cancer survivor. So it's just incredible to see where he is now, being a top 30 pick in the CFL draft, a professional football player, man. Just an incredible story, and we'll be rooting for him down the line if that is true. Blake, that kind of wraps up the first 30 picks, which if you thought we were going to go through all 70 picks here tonight, folks, you were sadly mistaken. Blake and I have been an hour and a half, which is basically bang on. But Blake, before we get out of here, buddy, have to go through a couple things that I want to discuss. I'm going to bang these off nice and quick, Blake, and then you can kind of feel free to jump in where you want to. I'm going to go with my favorite draft class as the Toronto Argonauts, actually, Blake, because of their
That's where I
selection
was gonna
of,
go as well.
yeah, Kevin Mytel, fifth overall. They had no picks actually in the second round, which is incredible to say, but then they had three picks in the third round, and they hit on um, I think they did a really good job. So they take Kevin Mattel in the first round. They take Tyson Hergott, defensive lineman, in the third round. John Bosse in the third round, and then Tyshawn Blackburn in the third round as well. So I went with the Toronto Argonauts as my favorite draft class from a CFL team in the 2024 draft class. If anybody's wanting to comment down below what they thought, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. All that good stuff. Blake, is that where you're going with too? The Toronto Argonauts?
Yeah, I was gonna go with the Toronto Argos as well. I really As you mentioned, I really like the Kevin Mytel pick. I believe in our mock draft, Shane had picked him second overall to the Red Blacks, so maybe a bit of a steal for the Argos with getting him at 5. And then I really like the John Bosse pick as well, as I thought he was a definite. I thought probably a first rounder, but if not first rounder, a second rounder for sure. So to get him in the third round, that might be the steal of the draft. And if we're giving grades, I'd give an A plus to the Argos.
A plus. So I will before we get off that. As much as I hate to say it, I tweeted it out, folks. I cannot lie. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers somehow had only had second round picks, and they had a phenomenal top 30 picks. Obviously, folks, we can't really stamp for sure approval of these grades until we see them play on the field and stuff like that. But considering they trade out of the first round, do not have a first round pick, do not have a third round pick as well. They have 4 picks in the second round. They take Kevin Seclercius, Michael Chrisike, Gabe Wallace, and Kyle Sampson. I absolutely love 3 of the 4 of those picks. I would say actually, I guess I love 2 of the 4 of those picks. I like 3 of the 4 of those picks. Like Gabe Wallace, I think he can develop into something great as something good as an offensive lineman. Excuse me. Kyle Sampson, we'll get into him in a little bit. Kevin Seclerci, as I mentioned, special teams guy who can develop if he takes some advice from guys like Kenny Lull or Dalton Schoen, guys like that. So classes that I like, even though they're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I hate those guys because of what they do to us. I will admit they did have themselves a nice haul in there in the top 30. So favorite draft class: Toronto Argonauts, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I'm gonna go with biggest steal: Deshaun Mims, wide receiver, Regina. He went in the 6th round, 50th overall to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a guy that had a pretty decent output this past season. A guy like a 6'1", 180-pound receiver. I think that can be a decently skilled receiver if he can develop into something. Not too sure how much he's going to give you on special teams. This is a purely kind of projection on skill on my part, Blake. On my part, I think he will project a little bit more, or I'm projecting more of his skill, I guess, more than his kind of his special teams and being able to stay a pro longer in that aspect. So I'm going to go with Deshaun Mims, wide receiver. He actually was the receiver that got hurt running the 40-yard dash, if I'm not mistaken, at the National Combine. So wasn't able to show for himself. I think he would have been taken higher if he was able to show out in pads at the Combine. My guys would just be the prospects to watch. George Una, Nathaniel Dumoulin-Duguay, Christophe Boyu, Tyson Hergott. Those are all my guys that I think will be 4 stellar long-time CFLers. I think those guys plug and play in any kind of system, any kind of organization, any kind of scheme, anything like that. Blake, it just so happens 2 of the 4 of those guys are on our BC line. So let's Blake, let's hope for my sake, for my reputation in year 1 of us doing draft shows and stuff like that. Let's hope that at least one of these guys pan out and kind of be something. So I will take that, especially for our BC lines. Let's hope that George Una or Christoph will use that one guy that pans out. And so my guys, what else we got here? Favorite fit. That's what else I was going to go with. Biggest steal or draft class. Favorite fit: Kyle Sampson, UBC defensive tackle, 2-time All-Canadian. Wasn't able to go to the combine actually, neither the Invitational or the National. A guy that actually went to the pro day at UBC at BC Place with UBC Thunderbirds. Put up 30 reps on the bench press, I believe, which would have been top 5 in the entire national combine. A guy that's an absolute, folks. I talked about prospects to watch. I was this close to making it 5 prospects to watch and putting Kyle Sampson as my Friday. Like I mentioned, some stuff happened. I wasn't able to do that. Go watch this guy on YouTube. Go check out his highlight video. Like I mentioned about highlight videos, folks. I know it's highlights, so it's all their good lights, and you're not able to see them what they're able to get better at, what maybe some of their weaker points are. But Kyle Sampson, UBC football player. Go type it in on YouTube. Go check out his highlight video. This guy is an absolute animal inside. I believe his what the scouts are saying, I guess, about him, Blake, which is kind of why he wasn't talked about much, is he has shorter arms, Blake, and he's kind of like a short, pudgy kind of guy. But When you throw on the highlight video, man, this guy is freaking a football player through and through, and someone I think great fit for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This screams Mike O'Shea and a great fit there with Kyle Sampson and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Surprised they slid. I'm going to go with John Cortez, O lineman out of the Saskatchewan Huskies program. He went to the seventh round, number 61 overall to the Ticats. A guy that I believe went to what was it, the University of Maine. Played a few years at Division One football, Blake, where he wasn't just a depth option. He actually played. Has a highlight video of some snaps, playing a lot of games, starting games down at the Division One level. Came back up to the Huskies program like a Nick Weeb does, and has been a stalwart on their offensive line for a few years here. A guy that I think is super underrated. And slide into the seventh round, I think the Ticats could potentially get something there with that selection in the seventh round. So, Blake, I believe that kind of wraps things up, if I'm not mistaken. But we do have 14 people tuning in on Twitter and or YouTube. So if everybody is enjoying our content here tonight, please like, comment, subscribe, smash the like button, right, Blake? Um, all the support is greatly appreciated. Blake and I appreciate you guys all tuning in, having some fun with us, talking some CFL football. Like I mentioned, 46 subscribers, if I'm not mistaken.
We're so
We have
close.
we have
So
14
close.
we have 14 people here tonight tuning in on Twitter or YouTube. I bet you all 14 aren't subscribed. So if you aren't subscribed, folks, please head on over to the YouTube, subscribe. That's all you got to do. Unfortunately, you're gonna kind of probably keep hearing me remind everybody, but head on over there, subscribe. All that is super appreciated. And the more you subscribe, maybe we can keep doing some more giveaways here on the channel and stuff like that. So stay tuned. Head on over to the Instagram page as well, Canadian Football Fanatics. We are doing really good on there. I believe 186 followers, nearing the 200 mark. Closer and closer as we get to the 2 month mark, which was our goal, if I'm not mistaken. 2 month mark here in May. Can we get to 200 followers? I believe we will. So head on over there, subscribe. We gotta flip this YouTube and Instagram subscribe and follower account and make them a little bit more even. So head on over there, folks, and please uh, just keep on supporting us and letting us know what you guys are enjoying so much here on the channel. Blake, I will pass things over to you, buddy, and just anything else that you want to let the folks know here before we get out of here.
Yeah, just that as you mentioned, we have our weekly shows starting technically tonight. Um, we haven't officially hammered down the day yet, but it looks most likely especially with the season previews, that we're gonna go with Tuesdays here. Do you want to mention to the people? Have you kind of finalized yet who we're gonna have as the special guests for starting next week, our East Division previews?
I will tease. We don't have anybody locked in, but like I mentioned, Blake and I still kind of working through things. I think it will be a little bit easier for us if Blake and I do the shows on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. For now, it's probably going to be more of a Tuesday night thing, but stay tuned, folks, to the Twitter, to the Instagram page. Things come up, life happens. Blake and I work. Blake and I, Blake has a little guy. Blake has a family. Also, I am so bad. I can't believe it took me an hour and 45 minutes I forgot. Happy anniversary to Blake and his lady McKenna. 5 years strong, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I did McKenna. No matter what he told you, I did ask permission if this was gonna get Blake in the doghouse. We could have done it yesterday, although the game was on. But I do wish you guys nothing but the best, buddy. Hope you guys are able to celebrate this weekend, and all that good stuff. But where was I going before that?
Weekly shows, guests, whatever.
Weekly shows. Stuff happens. Stay tuned, folks. Tuesday, Wednesdays are most likely going to be the days. Some weeks it might be Tuesdays, some days it might be Wednesdays. So for now, it's going to be Tuesdays. Like Blake mentioned, you can catch us on the 7th and the 14th of May here on the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel. We'll have guys like Cliffy Pine. One maybe Shane Ray could be on here. One Hall of Famer, like I mentioned, Mark Steven.
Oh,
One,
yeah, I wanted to ask you about that off air, but
yeah, Darren, maybe one Darren Bombing, possibly. A Dave Campbell. There's some names out there, maybe a Rod Peterson circling around. So stay tuned, folks. There will be a guest like the CFL draft that we had here on the channel. If you guys haven't checked that out and want to go compare, see how we did, go check that out. You guys can check out all of our live videos on the live tab. When you guys go to the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel, you'll have like the home tab at the top, videos, shorts, and then live. Click the live, you'll be able to find that as well as tonight's episode and be able to enjoy all that content as well. So looking forward to that on the 7th and 14th. Should be a lot of fun. CFL previews with, like I mentioned, a guest from each team represented. So we'll have 9 guests. Yes, folks, we will have 1 guest from the BC Lions. That does not mean we won't have a guest for our Lions and just have Blake and I. We will be having a guest. If you've been around here, you probably know who it is, but maybe we'll shake things up and not bother said guest until later in the season. Maybe we'll keep him in the bullpen for now.
You're
But
watching, we might call you instead.
yeah, you never know. You never know. So stay tuned, folks. 7th and 14th is the next time you're going to see Blake and I, which is, 7 days from now. 7 days from now. Next Tuesday night, May 7th, and then the following Tuesday after that, May 14th. After that, Blake and I will return from Kamloops. We're speaking into existence. Speaking into existence. We will return from Kamloops in the BC Lions training camp that Sunday or Monday, the 19th or 20th of May. And then on the 21st or 22nd, we will be doing another show, folks. It'll be the 3rd show of the year. We will be doing, breaking down, what we saw at training camp, what's going on across the CFL training camp. Maybe who got cut, who's got hurt in CFL training camp. Maybe we'll have some guests on. If you guys would like some input on that, let us know down in the comments below. Let us know in the chat. We would love to hear how you guys would like to hear, kind of view the show this year, and kind of how you guys would like to take in some more CFL content and how we can make the show better for you guys that are taking in some of our content. So please let us know how we can improve the show, and let us know what you would like to see, like opening a box of CFL trading cards. Maybe we'll do some memorabilia or something. Blake, we will. I'll just show it. I'll show it. I wasn't going to show it. I was going to try to surprise the people. But as you know, probably not even probably my favorite. Actually, no. I guess I got to say probably because there's 2. But my favorite BC line of all time. I had to get it. This is going to decorate the wall. I had to get
T-Roy.
Geroy Simon, and as you can see, we do have autographed Geroy Simon in the natural Superman pose. I believe this is at Empire, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks like Empire.
Yeah, which is cool. I was actually able to take in a game there. It was the Calgary Stampeders that crazy. I remember this, Blake. So my CT usually kicks in. I don't remember a lot of things. Calgary Stampeders. Do you remember a DB by the name of? It was something Franks. He was either Stanley Franks or Bobby Franks, and he like broke
Yep,
his leg, and the like ambulance came on the field and stuff like that.
yep, yep.
I'll never forget that because of that, because the ambulance came on the field and stuff like that. So I always remember that was the game I went to Empire and saw the Lions play, and the injury happened. The Lions actually came out on the short end of the stick that day. I always remember I believe it was like a walk-off field goal by like Rene Paredes or something like that. But
That damn Paradise.
that damn Paredes. Blake, I think that does it for us. Like I always say, smash the
I
like
kind
button.
of hope so. I'm hungry.
I agree. Smash the like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Blake and I appreciate you guys so much. We will catch you guys on May 7th for a CFL preview show. Until then, have a good one, guys, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Canadian Football Fanatics.